All right, guys. I'm Lark Will, and here is my top five plus. I was going to keep it top five. I haven't quite hit that. I'm closer to top seven, I think. I boiled it down to top seven reasons and issues with Marvel Strike Force as to what's holding it back in 2021. What needs to see some level of improvement or attention from Scopely / Fox Next to improve the game and keep it going strong in 2021. All right, with no further ado, again, my name's Lark Will. If you have any comments, questions, or thoughts of your own as to what your top 5 to 10 reasons are that need to be touched on, bullet points, post in comments. I'm happy to have that conversation with you guys. But here's mine. No particular order. And the first one that came to mind, I'm gonna actually say this one for last. That was more of a long one. Number seven is RTA was a big miss, and I think there's been a lot of conversation about that. But here's my takeaway on what RTA is like: is Vader throwing this pitch off the mound, not even from the rubber, I might add. He's a little bit short. He's pitching from the grass. This is like a 40-foot throw that made it maybe 30 feet. It's kind of a piss poor attempt and effort. He did dress up for the act, though. I will give him Vader credit for that. Marvel Strike Force, whoever designed RTA, I like the homepage. The landing page for RTA Real Time Arena is pretty good. They did some artwork there. That's fine. Leagues coming, cool. No information as to what the hell leagues are. All those things. There's a lot of problems with it. I think they just need to shit can leagues. I'm sorry, not leagues, but RTA. Start all over again, or just hit the pause button if they want to take away Blitz Sim and just make us blitz manually again until they figure out RTA. I think that's actually a better thing to do than keeping RTA moving forward. But they've attached the Battle Pass. They really rushed that. They just crammed it in there before the year end. They were going on a long leave, and it wasn't ready. It's very clear it wasn't ready. The community was clamoring for Blitz Sim, and we were putting pressure on Scopely to release Blitz Sim. I know a couple content creators were doing so, and that's not to blame or anything like that. But I think that Scopely may have been trying to appease us and then want to hit that transfer or time in game over to that new mode from Blitz Sim was introduced, then transfer it over to Real Time Arena, which basically Blitz 2.0. I think we all know that now. So yeah, that's one of the issues with the game right now is the lack of fun, lack of enjoyment. It's frustrating, man. Like, not only is it not fun, it's a tedious son of a gun. Like, it is not enjoyable at all. Can you try things in there and just run content? Yes. So if you just want to test things and throw random mud at the wall and just see an egg hit the wall, RTA's for you. But if you're actually looking for like compelling, competitive, motivating, stimulating content, our Real-Time Arena is hitting none of those marks. It's just a big miss. It's Darth Vader, 30-foot face plant. I'm going to throw with my offhand, and oh gosh, I'm a lefty. I didn't realize. That's what RTA is. So not trying to dogpile on it, but it does need to be recognized for why it missed. And why it missed was it had no. I was posted a comment on Reddit basically saying Scopely should hire somebody in the role that is in the Tom Hanks methodology from the Big movie, BIG. Walking through the toy store, picking up a toy and saying, tinkering with it. Is this fun? Is this a blast to play? Jumping on the piano, grabbing that robotic dinosaur transforming thing he was playing with. Is it interesting? Here's how it could be better. And those conversations aren't being had. And I don't know if they're even being valued. And it needs to be valued. And they need to have somebody in that conversation. And I'll be honest, because I've used to be spending a couple thousand on this game. I didn't realize it was, but I was spending between $1,000 to $2,000 a year on this game, just to be honest and transparent. And I've completely shut off the water on this game. I'm not saying it's not worth spending on, but I've been disillusioned towards some aspects of the game is not seeing development for a very prolonged period of time. It's not just because of RTA. Before RTA was ever out here, we have not seen game development. We've seen some QOL stuff, quality of life, and we've seen some bug fixes and seen a ton of characters come into the game. And I'm perfectly fine with all the characters. The characters coming to the game are not the problem. The problems are other things around that. Sorry, my dog's on my lap. Yeah, RTA is a big miss, guys, and I think we all know that, and it's cool. And it's perfectly fine. Hopefully they can fix it. Got dog paws on my sweatshirt here. But yeah, hopefully they can understand, hey, here's what RTA is. Okay, that wasn't a home run. It was a miss. Perfectly fine. And hopefully they can get that part to where they make an adjustment, and they actually change, and they say, you know what, here's what didn't work, and here's what we can do to improve it, and then just make it fun. That's all they have to do. If they make it fun, people start spending on the game again. They'll start giving us reasons to buy characters and use them in fun modes of content that are stimulating. That's all we're asking for. They just have to put a little bit of thought into it. This game has a community where the players want to spend on the game. They don't have to drag us kicking and screaming. We want to give them Scopely our money. All they have to do is just give us a poor excuse to do that. Something better than poor excuse. Something like a couple of notches up than a poor excuse, and they'll get our money. If they give no effort and they just walk out the front door and go to work in their slippers and their heart pajamas, they're engraved on their boxers, they're going to get fired. And I don't mean the players will stop playing the game initially. I just mean they're going to get a lot of salt shaken on Reddit. That's basically what I mean. And the players are going to voice their frustration and downvote in the game and Android and mobile app, those kind of things. And it's all avoidable. All they have to do is just give us a little bit of reason to have some fun, and the game will actually have really positive reviews very quickly. People start spending again, at least the Dolphins. Maybe they don't care. I know a lot of us think that they only care about the whales. That's a separate conversation. But end of the day, the public discourse about the game will be drastically improved with very small adjustments, just a little bit of effort towards introducing fun back to the game, and boom, it'll change like overnight. All right, number 6, status quo. The game is, again, tying into that last comment, the game is like stuck in the status quo. And this kind of wraps up into a few different pieces, so I'm just going to wrap them all together. The status quo and the lack of motivation that I feel that the developers, Scopely Foxnex, have to introduce new content. This is one of my major kind of a through line, so I'm just going to wrap in a few of these into one. I don't feel like, as a player, and seeing the lack of development in these games, I don't know, sometimes it's a slow process, but the last year, there's been very little, year and a half, there's been very little development of new game modes to the game. I will give them credit for balanced PvP. Even though it's still 5v5 fight and it's nothing different, they did develop the overlay and the draft format, and there was time that they put into that. I'm actually surprised they abandoned it so quickly, but I understand that they must have had analytics and metrics, and maybe it wasn't hitting certain marks that they expected from a player use standpoint, and once they detached the rewards from it, they probably saw, okay, with rewards, people are playing it at a X rate without the rewards being tied to it from the milestone events that they had, that one run. People there's a percentage of players that are playing it quite a bit. It's very small, and then the overall player base isn't touching it with their own rewards attached to it. So it probably didn't hit the marks that they wanted. But again, it's weird because I don't think RTA is any different. They just decided to attach the battle pass to RTA instead of like a balanced PvP. And hopefully they reintroduce balanced PvP as an option with less fights required to do the battle pass. Because I think a lot of us would migrate over to balanced draft PvP. If we had to do like 10 fights a day for balanced PvP compared to do like, 30 of those set on auto RTA matches, most of us would go through the draft. Or a large portion of us would, just because there's some kind of mental stimulation to drafting, whereas when you're doing the RTA, there's none. So anyways, from a status quo standpoint and lack of game development, I don't feel like the developers are concentrated whatsoever on making the game better from a enjoyment, exciting, stimulating standpoint. They're just rolling out characters, guys, and that's fine and dandy, and I hope they remain profitable. I don't wish anyone to stop spending on the game that enjoys the game and wants to spend on those characters. Perfectly fine in all the various offers, but the development team does not appear to be developing the game at all from a new game standpoint, besides some small overlays for RTA. RTA is basically just load and blitz teams and then hit auto. There's no heavy development there. There's no new backgrounds and artwork. The Dark Dimension 4 and all it is a few different points in a different direction than Dark Dimension 3. I think it's the same exact background wallpaper to it. There's no new music. There's no new background. The raid fights for Doom Raid is the exact same, just a different tree, and it's not innovative at all. It's not changing what they've already done. So there's very little development going on in the game, guys. All they're doing is just changing difficulty sliders, introducing a few different characters in there, and they're thinking about, okay, how can we make this, difficult for their rosters to get through currently, so that way this lasts at its difficulty setting for a long time until we introduce the next gear tier and level, 100, whatever. ISO level, red star level, whatever they plan on next, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a big problem with that. My problem is that there's no fun, stimulating aspects of the game that are coming out, and it's starting to pull down on players' enjoyment from war. Just because war is just basically sit around and wait for your war attacks now, and since there's nothing else in the game to do, I'll be honest, guys, there's very little to stream in the game. Most of the streamers and content creators they're very, very good at what they do, and I don't include myself in that category, but OMG, Remenex, Casino, Valley, all those guys that are streaming at all. I'm missing a bunch of guys. There's a ton of people that are streaming, but most of the main ones, Skunjili, I know is another one, Tana, Wolverthor, all those guys. Wolverthor's probably a little bit more dry like I am, but all the guys that are doing it and doing it from an entertainment standpoint. I forgot the gentleman's name, but he does like more music stuff, and he has like the visuals, like little like pace card going through a maze and all this kind of thing while he's playing music. He's like does the DJ stuff. Most of these guys are entertainers, folks. Like the game is not that entertaining right now. There's very little cover, very little to actually do in the game, other than just theory craft and talk about characters and what could be, what are their stats going to look like, what's optimal, how can we beat this end game content mountain, like what's going to be just the theory crafting side of it. That's the game. That's the streaming. That's the content. Talking about the issues with the game. Hell, like content creators have resulted to or kind of turned to like talking about the bugs with the game as content creation, and that's not a new tradition for content creators, but you don't see content creators streaming. We're talking about U7.5 raids for a very long time. We're talking about Doom because it's brand new. But in a very short period of time here, we won't be talking about Doom very much. A lot of these raid nodes in RTA are so redundant. There's a lot of whole stimulating competitive aspects to actually cover in the game. So that's the status quo. It's kind of stuck in place. And that needs to change. We need to see some improvement in those areas to break things up and make us really stimulated and do some fun, new, exciting modes of content that shake up the game in some way. It's drastically needed. All right, guys. Number 4, bugs, hiccups, errors galore. I know a lot of other content creators touched on this. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but there's been no improvement in this regard. I'm not blaming this on Cerebro. The developers know where their shortcomings are. These guys are very intelligent. They know exactly where their money's being spent on employees and staffing. Whether it's marketing team or game development, IT, quality of life. They have all these different new game mode developers, artists that are focused on one thing or the other. They know exactly where their money's being spent and what they're working on and what they're neglecting. They know that quality of life is being neglected and isn't as invested in as others. And I'm not even saying they're wrong in doing that, but I'm just trying to pronounce that these Scopely and the Foxnex, the folks that developed this game, know exactly where the game is moving towards, where their focus is, and where their focus is not. Their focus is not game development. It's not quality of life. It's not bug fixes. They're perfectly fine just having a set error rate that's built into the game. They're not paying people to double check their work. They're not paying them to a second pair of eyes to, hey, here's what the new announcement or game release is going to be. Double check this, hey, send it up to a manager and have them confirm that the dates are right, etc. There's a lot of things like that go in the game. And you know what? Like I heard Valley talk about this a long time ago. A lot of the bugs are okay because we get rewards from them. So a lot of times I just like, man, another bug, it's okay for me. We're going to get some kind of a giveaway from the developers saying, okay, hey, we screwed up. Here's, X, Y, or Z orbs for you. And so a lot of us are like, we're kind of like lukewarm on even caring about bugs anymore. It's just kind of silly. And from a standpoint of how much we spend on the game, which is going to be a future point, It's a pretty poor job, guys. In all honesty, and it's a little embarrassing at times that it's such a long state where there's not been a lot of improvement, and the same kind of small issues keep arising. And compared to the amount of money that players spend on the game, it's kind of like you buy a very high-end product like Mercedes Benz or a Land Rover or what have you, and your AC doesn't work right off the lot. That's embarrassing, and that's kind of how this game is at time. But they're not held as accountable because it's a very sheltered industry with the Marvel IP. There's one and only game that has a Marvel IP. That's this style of game. And I've worked in industries that were very sheltered in the past too. You can get away with some things because there's not a whole lot of other market options that compete with you, and that's what they have going in their favor. But it's also a problem in the game because they have little motivation to actually fix those, because again, there's a dearth, or there's a lack of market forces that are competing with them for our business as customers to take us away from Marvel. All right, next one, guys. Lack of fun content. I've already covered that, but I mean existing in the game right now. So not even future, but in the game right now. Number 3 is there's a lack of fun content in the game right now to do, especially for in-game players. There's practically one, and I would call that war. I think some in-game players do like the Doom raids and these next evolving raid sliders, whether it's the Greek raid slider, Doom raid slider. They're just sliders, guys. It's just difficulty sliders. That's all it is. It's just, here's a raid format. It's going to be X level difficulty, and now we're just going to X times that by 10, and now climb that wall. That's all it is. It's nothing different. Like, there's different characters in them, but all it is just saying, hey, your roster has got to this power threshold. Now we're going to give you another hill climb that's a bit higher. Sorry, I covered my face. Gotta get better at this. But yeah, it's that's what this says. So from that standpoint, I think the game is a little bit lacking with existing fun modes of content, and that was where RTA really fell short. But I don't think that was their aim. Their aim was to replace our time in the game. It wasn't to give us a new fun game to play. I hope they actually reintroduced draft PvP and just give it some options for us to play it with some different events and things like that. So instead of doing Blitz, we can do draft PvP. I think that would be why not give players options as to how they want to play and spend their time in the game. I don't understand it. Like, instead of doing RTA or Blitz Sim or manual Blitz or arena fights or raid fights, why not let us do draft or balanced PvP? I'm sure 70% of the populace, if not more, would choose not to, but you've already designed the mode. So why not open it up and allow it as an option, whether it's the Game Pass or whether it's for any of these events? Why not make that an option for people to do? And then I think when you give people options, they can choose what's fun for them. And then they're not frustrated by doing the things they're forced to that they don't like. I just think that makes sense. So anyways, lack of fun existing modes. For me, the only reason why I'm probably still playing the game is I enjoy war and the community aspects. I love my alliance, love the people I play with, and I love the community. But what do I enjoy in the game? I like the theory crafting, roster building, character development, all that stuff. But from a mode standpoint, the only reason that I'm still playing is because I like war. I like the competitive. I love draft PvP. I love PvP too. But RTA is not player versus player at all. Don't let anyone confuse you on that. It's not. All right. Number 2, the offer price points are absolutely 100% absurd. And I know I'm running long on this video, guys, so I'm going to speed up here. But I'm going to go back to BlueStacks here, guys, and show you the offers that are currently in the game. It might have changed while I'm making this video, but the offer price points in this game, and this is completely in the eye of the beholder. Some people will say, you know what, I have a lot of expendable income, and for whatever reason, these offers are not a big deal for the amount of money that I have in my account, IRL bank account, for expendable income, entertainment, hobbies. So for many folks, these offers are like, hey, they just have money sitting around. They'll spend it on the game. It doesn't have as much of, they're not concerned as much with value. They're just saying, this is a hobby I enjoy. I don't mind spending $1,000 on this new driver for a golf set club. Whereas another average golfer will say, I'm looking for value for the money I spend on my entertainment, and I'm not going to spend $20,000 a year for a a pass to play or access to this really nice golf course and community. Whereas a lot of folks will say, I want that exclusivity. I'm going to pay for that, and that's going to be a hobby I do. This game is very expensive, guys. And I'm not necessarily trying to focus on Bishop here in this offer, but just in general, here's some shards for $35. These are very expensive offers, and that's why I think a lot of the folks, the average player that plays this, especially for a spending customer, is an older one, because they have to be in a career making money or come from a wealthy standpoint, because this is not expendable income from a lot of people. Stature, the reason why I'm going to talk about this one for a second is Stature is not a good character. She's a very usable character in a very niche game mode, Dark Dimension, and most people are going to opt never to build her other than to unlock Jubilee. So to the extent that you want Jubilee, they're selling you artificial limitations or restricted access to Jubilee. So while Stature, I pulled her at 6 red stars, I'm still not building her, is going to be the Jubilee unlock. She's not a good character in the game. I don't even know if she's particularly fun. She's just kind of like an off tank. But there's nothing wrong with Stature's kit, but $30 for this, for the chance to leverage her shards to unlock Jubilee, is very, very expensive, because you're getting nothing out of the character herself of value. You're just basically saying, this gets me an inch closer to unlocking Jubilee at 5, 6, or 7 stars. So just understanding what this is, and for folks that are trying to do that and are willing to spend for it, hey, that's your way to unlock them. But it's very expensive, guys. This is very incremental progress towards a goal that is not probably even worth the $30 itself for many of the customers that play the game. And Scopely knows that. They're not putting these offers out for light spenders. These are whale food and Kraken food snacks here for the next thing. This is one of the worst offers I've seen in a while. Probably not one of the worst offers ever in the game, but the average ability needs 150 to 250 of these. I'm sorry, this is gold promotion credit. So you need, I thought this was the tokens for the T4s. Sorry, guys. So for a 6-star upgrade, from a 5 to a 6-star upgrade, you need 100 of these. So you'd have to buy this 5 times. So 5 times 50, $250. You need to spend $250 to upgrade one character from 5 red stars to 6 red stars. Not from 0 red stars on a new character to 6, from 5 to 6. So you're getting like that 10 or 15% stat jump, whatever it is, from 5 to 6 on one character. And that's a very small amount of progress. And the amount of characters that are actually even worth that, that even like from the amount of tokens that we accumulate, is very small pool right now. You can't do Doom. You can't do Ultron for red stars, not that you'd want to, but Doom is the one you'd want to, and they have it locked, so you can't use red stars on them to upgrade them. So the options here are basically a lot of the old legendaries or current legendaries, and you're going to want to put this on a damage dealer for the most part. But guys, $250 from a 5 to a 6 is just stupidly expensive. It's just absolutely absurd. For a 7-star, you need, I think, 150. So you're gonna have to buy this 7.5 times. So $350 to $375 for one upgrade from a 6 red star to a 7 red star. That's, guys, that you can buy a car for that amount. And this is just the guy with the trench coat trying to sell you a bunch of junk for $500. That's what this is. And it's hard to talk positively about Scopely when they are willing to sell you a 24 pack of water for $50. Hey, here's a 24 pack of water. Are you thirsty? $50. That's what they're offering you here, guys. This is a virtual currency game. You don't get anything tangible out of this other than your enjoyment. So if you will enjoy it, and it's basically what all it comes down to, guys, is will you get enjoyment out of this, and is your income, expendable enough to consider these offers? But yeah, this is really poor, guys. Overall, it's a very expensive game. I don't want to harp so much on that offer. Talking more generally, guys, is that they're offering you 50 shards of a character. Even for a 5-star upgrade, I would need to buy this 2.5 times. Say if I was at 0 shards, to get from 4 stars to 5 stars on a character. And 5 stars is barely usable unless it's a very OP character, then it is. But for an average character like Yellow Jacket, for endgame players, a 5-star character is barely usable, barely. And you'd have to buy this offer 3 times to get from 0 all the way above. If you're going from, say, 6 yellow stars to 7, that's 300 shards. You'd have to buy this offer 6 times. So basically, they're just putting this out there again for, do you want Pimtech to 5 or 6 stars to get Jubilee? But from a value standpoint, like if you're trying to take Yellow Jacket from 6 stars to 7, 6 times 30 is $180 for a very average character who's a damage dealer. But the guys are just taking advantage of us, and they're just saying, how much are you willing to just drop on the floor for us for some virtual entertainment? But the value structure compared to what your dollar's worth compared to what you get in this game, there is such a large disparity, and it's been stretched so far beyond reason that these are indefensible offers that are just for very wealthy folks that want to spend very loosely on a game that they enjoy. But if you're not a Kraken spender, be honest, guys, I would tell almost everyone, don't spend on the game. That's just my honest opinion, because whatever you do spend on the game, like $10 for this little, it's just ridiculous. This is like mid-game player. T9 is like 6 gear tiers lower. This stuff is just, I have a ton of orbs I can open for this stuff. I'm not going to consider buying it, but guys, your money in this game goes nowhere. So I used to buy a lot of character offers, a lot of those things, but I would drastically encourage people, if you don't plan on spending massively in this game over a continued period of time, it's probably best not to be a short-term spender unless you want to buy a character that you absolutely love and you just want to play that character to your heart's desire, like kind of like Tana does with some of the X-Men characters that he loves. Unless you're just really heart set on that, don't buy a random offer like this if you're thinking of being like a one-time or very rare customer that's going to spend, because it'll get you nowhere. They're selling you a very small amount of items or materials, mats, at a very expensive price point. So unless you plan on sustaining the current level of spending at their price points, I would avoid spending on any offers that they put out there, because it's unsustainable. Their price points are so expensive. It's like trying to buy a hot dog and they say $100 for a hot dog. Here's a 24 pack of water at the grocery store, $50. You want a gallon of gas, $50. That's the price point conversion rate for Marvel Strike Force. It's just everywhere you go, they're gonna, whatever the value is for an average person, they're not basing their offers based on an average person. They're basing it on kind of a luxury elite oil magnate that's very wealthy and wants to spend on a hobby. So just understand what it is. I love to ski and snowboard personally, guys. So you can see in the background here, I have in my little picture here, snowboard over my left shoulder and a pair of skis over my right shoulder. I love to do snow sports, and it's gotten very expensive over the years to do the snow sports. But if they said, hey, Greg, my name is Greg, if they you have to spend $1,000 for a lift ticket to go on the mountain for one day and take your kids there. I don't have kids, but if I did, $1,000 per person. A lot of folks that do those skiing and snowboarding, they have kids and they're teaching them how to do it. And it's $1,000 per person. That's very expensive, guys. Like right now, on an average lift ticket around here, somewhere between $75 and $150. It's very expensive as it is. But they said it's $500 per person for one day. There's like a pain threshold of things you're willing to do. I used to be able to go to a baseball game when I was young, Dodger Stadium in Anaheim. I grew up in Southern California. I go to Dodger Stadium for like $8. You can sit in the outfield. $6 outfield. If it was like a sale day, like $4 or $5, you can sit out there. I'm under 40, so not even that long ago. Well into my 20s, you could go to Dodger Stadium for low $20. You could sit somewhere in the infield for low 20s and get a really good seat at Dodger Stadium or Anaheim. And then I remember like something happened the last decade where I wanted to go to a LA Dodger Anaheim. This was like 15 years ago, and a preseason ticket cost $100 a pop for the nosebleed all the way to the very top of the stadium. And there's like a pain threshold as to, it's a lot of fun to go, but what are you willing to spend? And like the Super Bowls today, while I'm capturing this video. And it's like, are you willing to spend Super Bowl price tickets to watch a football game? And that's what Marvel Strike Force is selling us, guys. They're selling us a very expensive, premium, exclusive price rate for their content that they have limit to access to at a very nosebleed price point. Like it's a one time only. You're going to go watch the Super Bowl, individual life experience. Tom Brady's going to play Patrick Mahomes. Brady might retire next year. Are you willing to spend $3,000 to go see that game and see it in person? That's what every character that comes to Marvel Strike Force is like. Here's this average character, stature, yellow jacket. Are you willing to spend $25 to $50 per pop for them? And you're not going to be able to use them at the 3-star level you unlock them as. You have to invest like hundreds of dollars to build them up to a usable state. Are you willing to spend $400 to $600 per character to build them up to be usable? And that's basically, are you willing to go pay the price point to sit at a concert for your favorite singer, or the World Series, the Super Bowl, NBA championship, whatever it is you're into? And that's what every offer is in Marvel Strike Force. So for me, I've been disillusioned by it, and I've basically pulled away from spending on the game because I think it's for the birds. The value is so low. It feels like every time I bought a character is like being kicked in the nuts. I couldn't use them. A 3 or 4 star character, yellow stars, even regardless of what red stars I pulled on the RNG Fest, you couldn't use them. So it's a very like a zero-sum game. Unless you're willing to spend all the way, don't spend it all. And that's my current advice in the game right now, guys. Unless you're willing to spend a lot on the game consistently, maybe look at, am I getting any value out of this? Where's my money going compared to what I can use it on the real world? Investing in stocks, like I heard Skingy talking about, other modes of entertainment, saving for the future, whatever it is. Your money doesn't go far in Marvel Strike Force, guys. So just think about that. If you're at all concerned or worried about, how much you're spending on a hobby and your entertainment value. I'm not trying to discourage anyone to spend if they're loving the game and it's completely disposable. But for a lot of us, I think we've probably spent more at times than we probably should have for digital entertainment that we're not enjoying. So it's like, where's the value? And then maybe just consider what you're getting out of that kind of spending, and do what's right for you, of course. But you're not alone if you're thinking, hey, I've been spending money on the game and I don't know if I'm really getting an equitable return out of that spend. So that's probably my number one, guys, is things that are holding the game back, is that it's really in the game's like price points are towards Krakens, not towards everyday players. There's very little microtransactions in the game right now. And that's fine. It's perfectly fine. But don't feel bad for not spending on the game, and don't let your alliance make you feel bad for spending on the game, guys. Just get to a different alliance if there's any kind of pressure on you to spend to keep up, and you're wondering, hey, I'm really not feeling like there's value there. Should I spend to keep up, or should I just go find a different alliance or find a different game? Definitely get with a different alliance, and there's plenty of alliances out there that are more casual or semi-hardcore that don't require spending. I'm currently in one, and if you're competitive like I am, but just want to enjoy the game and do it at your own pace, that is a positive of the game. There's no forced mechanic from Scopely. No one's putting your gun to your head. So I'm not trying to come across like that at all. But maybe just get out of the habit. Don't watch content that promotes you to spend money if you have any kind of tendency to do so, that you have like limited restraint, personal restraint. Maybe just get out of the habit of even looking at the offer store daily, guys. So if you're at all like concerned like with what you're spending, you're not enjoying the game as much, maybe try it like on a lighter spending standpoint or from a more casual standpoint, and just don't even look at the offer store. Because I guarantee you, you'll hear about it from your Discord channel, or somebody will say, hey, there's this awesome offer in there. This doesn't come around very often. You'll see it in Discord. You'll hear it on Content Creators channel. But maybe just form some good habits. And I think a lot of folks just get frustrated by looking through the offer store. And to be honest, I've just stopped looking. The last month, I just don't look as much anymore. Occasionally I'll peruse it. Like, I'm not opposed to spending on the game. But for me, I've pulled back my spending because I'm not having as much fun in the game because the game isn't being developed. And that's personally why I've pulled back. So I'm not getting the value and the return from an entertainment standpoint. But if the game starts introducing a lot of fun new game modes that I think are kick-ass, I'll start spending probably pretty heavily in the game. That's just me. But that's where I'm at, guys. I know I went long on this one. Sorry for going 35 minutes. Maybe I'll shorten this up. I might just post it in long form. Feel free to skip ahead. I'll try to put some timestamps on this crap for you guys. But yeah, if that was my top 5 to 10, somewhere in there. Reasons that are things that Marvel Strike Force could improve on. Love to hear your guys' comments. I try to keep it positive. I'm not trying to like kick the company or anything like that. That's just my honest feelings, guys. I hope you guys appreciate some kind of genuine feedback towards the game. Maybe you agree with some of my comments. Maybe you think, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I love those aspects of the game, but here's some things that I consider areas of improvement that could be made. Post them in the comments, guys. Post them give me some feedback. I'm happy to hear from a wide range of players. Players that are brand new, mid-game, end-game players, well beyond where my TCP is. Share your feedback. I'm curious what you guys think, and hope you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. This is Super Bowl Sunday, and again, I'm Lark Will. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm happy to chat with you guys in the comments. But until next time, guys, I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for checking out the vid. See ya.